So I did have this really funny joke about Nazis as the introduction to this video, but instead, because of some hideous person that we met in the cinema during the screening of Overlord, I'm just going to say stick around until I give the score and I'll tell you all about her. She was wonderful.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Starring amongst others, and I apologise because a few of these names are difficult to mispronounce, so I'm probably going to butcher quite a few of them. Giovanna Depo, Wyatt Russell, Matilda Olivier, John Magaro, Pilo Asbeck and Ian DeCasticker. Directed by Julius Avery off of a screenplay by Billy Ray and Mark L. Smith, this is my review for Overlord. Overlord is the story of a group of American soldiers. They crash in a small French village, but it's actually kind of where they need to be because they're trying to take down a German transmitter. Only they very quickly discover that it's not just normal kind of things that the Germans are doing. The Nazis there are undertaking some pretty dangerous experiments that could turn the tide of war in their favour, as well as potentially dooming all of mankind. So Overlord was originally the movie that, I believe it was going to be a Cloverfield movie. A lot of people are calling it Cloverlord. Maybe it's because of Cloverfield Paradox that they abandoned that. I think that kind of did the Cloverfield name a little bit of damage. So now this exists entirely as its own thing, and I think it's a lot better for it. I'm glad. I was actually a bit worried that there was going to be some kind of link to it in this movie, but if there was, it was very, very hidden. As far as I'm aware, this has no connection to that franchise whatsoever. And yeah, I think that's the best thing, because this is actually a very good standalone horror movie. The premise is very, very simple, really. I mean, there's not a lot to this story, and I don't mean that as a negative. I just mean it's a very straightforward story. It's very easy to follow, and it's a movie that moves along at quite a brisk pace. There's a lot of things I can say that are good about this movie, but the pace is definitely one of them. It never feels like it slows down too much. Even when it does, it's slowing down for good reason. There's good character moments. And that's another thing that this has really got going for it, of its characters, because there are some really, really strong ones in this. The main two, sort of the soldiers at least, are Boyce and Ford, and these are two characters that are very much opposites of what it means to do the right thing. You have Boyce, who's the person who's trying to have a little bit of heart. Like, he's the one who wants to do the right thing. He's not necessarily interested in following the orders as such. Like, he will as much as he can. But if something comes up and he thinks he should do something else because it's the right thing to do, he'll do it. Counter that with Ford, played by Wyatt Russell, who is very by the book. He's very, we need to do this. This is what we're going to do. I don't care about these people because that's not the mission. So it's an interesting dynamic between these two, and it plays along right until the end. Like, it's very fascinating to watch the two of them bounce off each other. Like, they come to blows literally quite a few times, but they still seem to have this kind of respect between them. Two great performances from the actors in this part, and say the characters really well written, two of them. As is Chloe. She is a badass character in this movie. I loved her. I wasn't sure what to expect going in. I was worried that she was going to be kind of the victim of the piece, like she was going to be the one that they'd have to go and save, but that's not the case at all. She holds her own, and then some in this. Like, she gets some of the best moments of this movie. There's one particular moment with her and a flamethrower that was just awesome. So yeah, she was a pleasant surprise in this one. Great actress. I'd say the characters are really good as well, but she was really awesome in it. Can't wait to see more of her, because she can do some really good action movies if this is anything to go by, because she more than holds her own against everything else in this one. Of the soldier unit, there's a couple of other characters. There's one who's there pretty much just for comedy. Like, he has a bit of banter with this young little boy that's in it, this young brother. And that's a good dynamic. That young brother, actually, he's really good. He's a really funny little kid. He works really well with all of the cast. But yeah, so you've got the light relief there. And then you've got Ian DeCasticker, Fitz from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., doing an American accent, which took me a little while to get used to. But he is, if you've seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you know how good an actor he is. He doesn't get anywhere near the levels of Fitz drama to deal with in this one, but there is one particular scene with him in. So he's not the best developed character, but there is one scene where he shows how good he is. He has to just convey something pretty horrible and horrific, and he does so perfectly. And speaking of which as well, the actual body horror aspect of this movie is so good. It's so disturbing and so creepy. Like, you have bones snapping out of the body and people contorting and stuff. It's some of the best body horror I've seen in quite a while. It's genuinely unnerving, and at times it's very, very scary. Like, the actual creatures and the way they move, the way they scream, the way they run at you is very, very, very frightening. It is. It's not the scariest film in the world, but there are points where it is absolutely terrifying. And I love that. It's a lot more interested, I think, in the gore than it is the scaring side of things. But I think it does that balance right. It's not overly gory, although there are some pretty horrific moments. And it's not overly scary, but there's a nice balance. It's the sort of movie where it kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time because you don't really know what's going to happen. And I appreciated too, as I say, how straightforward this is. There's not a lot to this, and I mean that in a good way. There's not a lot of twists and turns and unnecessary ones. It just follows a very basic path, but that works in its favour. It's not trying to be anything more, I don't think, than just a fun horror movie. And in a lot of ways, it really succeeds at that. But that's not to say that Overlord's without problems. I think the villain of this one isn't the best. It kind of gets to a stage, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it gets to a stage near the end where a lot of the horror aspect of it, a lot of the scariness kind of devolves in favour of just a typical fight. A typical fight just between two people, or two things, and that's not really what I wanted from this. It's a very sort of generic way to end this. I was hoping for a little bit more. I was hoping for it to do something a little bit more outside of the box, and it didn't. So it's a shame that it did become a little bit generic. And that villain himself, while he started out nice and sort of sinister, and I say nice, not in an actual nice way, just he was nicely sinister, but he, quickly devolved into being a bit of a bland villain as well. I wanted more from him, because early on he showed a lot of promise, and it was just a shame to see him devolve into, again, something fairly generic. And I'd say the last act is actually probably the weakest act of the movie, because there's a lot of strong aspects. The opening few minutes of this are incredible. The sequence of the plane going down, sort of the explosions going off, them having to parachute down to the ground, is so well done. It's exhilarating, like it really is. Like I couldn't take my eyes off the screen because I was so caught up in what was going on. But that last act just gets a little bit carried away. I think it doesn't know where to show restraint. It just goes a little bit too full on, and I'd like it if they just, I say, not gone down the predictable route as much as they did. But that's not to say it's a bad thing. There's a lot of aspects to enjoy, even in that last act. It's just the main bulk of it didn't quite work for me as well as what came before. But overall, this is still a great film and definitely worth seeing. I'm going to give Overlord an 8 out of 10. But something that did affect my enjoyment of it was one particular woman in this screening. So there's 5 of us there watching this movie. And by the way, this is the end of the Overlord review now. This is just me rambling on about what happened in the cinema. So if you're just here for the review, hope you enjoyed it. But she was talking loads throughout the film, and I didn't actually hear this. It was a few seats down, so there was 5 of us, there was a gap, and then there was her. But she was talking enough. Apparently she was being all, oh, he's got a bomb, oh, he's got a gun, oh, what's going to happen here, oh, this doesn't look good, like constantly throughout the movie. Like I would have flipped out if I was sat next to her. But after about 20 minutes of her constantly doing this, my friend Richard turned around and told her to shut up. Probably a bit bluntly, probably could have been a little bit nicer with it, but at the same time, don't talk in a movie. If you talk throughout a film, you're the worst kind of person. She, instead of realising that she was being loud, she turned around and called him a dirty effing cunt. To which he didn't respond overly well to it. He didn't have a go back at that point, really. I think he was more just shocked. But she went out, got a member of staff, said that he was abusive to her and that we were in the wrong seats. So 20 minutes before the end of the film, a Cineworld employee walks into the screen, comes over to us and asks to see the tickets, and they were on my phone. So I had to get my phone out to show her the seat numbers. And it's like, there's 20 minutes left of this film. Why are you doing this now? Like, it doesn't matter if we're in the wrong seats now, because there's 20 minutes left. This is a problem for like an hour ago. So I was pretty pissed off. And we were in the right seats as well. And after the movie finished, the sensible thing would have been to just leave. We didn't. We approached the woman, and I believe my exact phrase was, "Thanks for that." She was like, "For what?" That she was really, really, really just scummy. And she was basically yelling and saying that he was in the wrong seat, he was in seat 13, he should have been in seat 12, despite the fact she was in 14, there was a gap, then there was him. I even at one point pointed to the number 12 and went, "That's the seat he was in 12, and she was like, "It's 13. It all got very, very angsty. So we went out to the foyer. I was going to complain about the seat checking thing because it pissed me off. It was right in a crucial bit of the movie. It was in the last act and things had just really ramped up. And you get interrupted, and interrupted everybody else around as well because the brightness of my phone lit up and I had to... Very frustrating. But this woman came out into the foyer as well and just continued kicking off. By this point, Richard had gone and waited in the car because his wife sent him out there for the best. And she was nuts. She was describing him but wrong. She was saying he had glasses. She was yelling at the cinema staff, saying that people shouldn't be allowed to talk to her like this, and she was only speaking during the film because of her brother had learning disabilities or something. You weren't really helping him, though, were you? You were just saying lots of random things throughout the movie, so that doesn't work. She was walking up to the cinema policy signs, pointing out things that they'd done wrong. She was nuts, and she made a member of staff escort her out to her car because she thought he was going to be lurking outside and waiting for her. At that point I laughed very, very loudly and said that he's not Michael Myers, and then a few cinema employees laughed as well, and that pissed her off even more. But yeah, I just felt like ranting about that story. That's just the brief snippet of what happened there. If it's not that interesting, I apologise, but I like to talk about things and just say things that have happened, and that was just an eventful thing that happened last year. It kind of put a dampener on this movie a little bit. Thankfully the movie was good, at least. At least I can say I enjoyed the film, but yeah, she was a horrible, horrible person. The plus side is, though, we did get free sweets from it, so we've got free food vouchers for next time we go, so I'm excited to buy some minstrels for free. Free minstrels, so it was worth waiting around for, but yeah, that woman was insane. Anyway, that was my review for Overlord. So what did you think of the movie? Let me know in the comments if you've seen it, what you thought about it below, and let me know your worst cinema experience as well. Have you run into an absolute lunatic in there before? Just the most moronic sort of person? Have you had dealings with them? If so, let me know that in the comments too, because it'd be nice to know that other people have to deal with absolute dickheads in this world. Oh, she really made me angry. Plus, it was quite funny at the same time. I kind of enjoy those sort of arguments, but yeah, you could have done without it, you know? Just go watch a film. You don't want all that drama. Do hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more. More reviews coming soon. Widows and The Grinch are both coming this week. Really excited for Widows. Not really sure what to make of The Grinch. I guess we'll see what I think of that one in a few days' time. You can follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, at Joe Julians. That's also my name on Stardust. Well worth getting that app if you want to share your views on movies as well. If you are on there, tag me in your reactions. I'd love to see your reactions to Overlord on there, or any film, actually. Yeah, tag me. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.